When my children left home and I went back to school as an adult, I first became interested in sharing what I was learning because I realized many people around the world could benefit from what I had been learning, and it was so useful in my daily life. I knew countless others around the world could also benefit greatly from the same leadership skills I'd gained in my studies. These skills could empower individuals to persevere in many of life's difficult circumstances and equip them to help others as well. I quickly realized that the reality and challenge many people faced was that the ones who could most benefit from quality leadership training were often those who were least likely to have access to qualified educators and to necessary training resources. The solution? Bring the necessary educators and resources to the people right where they live and work. Provide the education they need to succeed. Take the vitally needed leadership skills to the remote villages and distant places that desperately need the knowledge but had no clue these concepts even existed, let alone have access to it. And as trained leaders rise up in their own villages and communities, empower them to train others as they themselves were trained. Inspire leaders to mentor and train more leaders, and help them to continue this momentum of growth and development indefinitely. This became the inspiration for a volunteer-supported nonprofit organization designed to meet the growing need in the global communities for training in the areas of counseling, conflict management, mentoring, and servant leadership. The name for Global Mosaic International represents the global work by a multicultural and multi-ethnic Mosaic team of volunteers, equipping leaders to train their own people and also reach out to neighboring countries. It's still dedicated to bringing resources and trainers to those communities throughout the world who have limited access to desired educational opportunities. After committing to my newfound passion to training leaders, in 2002 I began work in Malaysia. I found there to be many different people and organizations who were eager to learn. From that first year, I brought teams of educators to Southeast Asia to train students ready for leadership and counseling skills. Word quickly spread of the valuable influence Global Mosaic International had in Malaysia. This sparked a series of invitations to train even more leaders from all over Southeast Asia, eventually reaching into Africa and India. The issues that people face in countries served by GMI differ greatly. For instance, many people in northern Uganda have endured immense suffering due to the prolonged and devastating conflicts that have occurred there. Issues related to rape, abandonment, being forced to move great distances with no place to live, and not having enough to eat are a common reality among those people. In other places, HIV and AIDS causes rejection from society, sometimes leaving victims homeless and ready to end their lives. Domestic violence is another serious issue. In some areas, the institution of marriage is so revered that women will stay with the husband even in the face of great danger, not knowing where to turn for help, having no self-worth, struggling in a life they didn't ask for and can't change. Many of the countries in which GMI works are overwhelmed with refugee populations. These people have often fled for political and safety reasons. Some from countries where their own people are being exterminated. They don't know where to turn to find a place to live and lack a consistent means of provision for their families. Often, they live in extreme poverty, struggling to exist and at the point of starvation. See, these examples are only a few of the struggles that GMI addresses in the lives of the people they counsel.
As a doctor, we are only able to treat the patients with medications, and the medication can suppress their symptoms. But there are a lot of people who suffer not actually the sickness itself, but there are a lot of inner hurts. So in order to actually to heal them holistically, we have to bring out their inner hurts, which is so important. Only through counseling we are able to help these people. By giving medication, we are only just able to suppress the symptom. They are not fully healed. At my ministry, basically, we help the refugee and also we help the native poor and needy in the country. Most of these refugees, before they come to Malaysia, they have a long suffering in the country, and there are a lot of hurts, physically, mentally, spiritually. So over here, we nurse them physically, we nurse them mentally, and spiritually. So the training from Dr. Yurin Balfour and the team is very helpful. Without that, we cannot heal them holistically. We equip them with a living skill so that when they resettle to third country, they are able to find a job. We also give them what we have actually learned from Dr. Yurin Balfour. The passion is important. In order to do a good job, I think your love for others is important.
Global Mosaic has provided solutions in countries around the world. Solutions such as providing skills for conflict handling and management, and holding workshops that help people learn effective communication skills. But the heart of Global Mosaic's counseling skills training lies in the focus of training trainers. One of GMI's major accomplishments has been the graduates of counselor training that now go on their own to train not only in Malaysia, but in several neighboring countries as well. The positive influence of this counselor training is expanding rapidly into the surrounding countries. Some of these students and graduates go to the jungles and rural villages, some to the refugee populations, and some to children's shelters. Some teach in seminaries, and some even focus on human trafficking. These are just a few of the ways these counselors minister. Not only do they give the training, but they also enhance the content with personal life experiences, which makes the training come alive.
Something very close to my heart is the community transformation program that the church has embarked on. It is a program whereby we help the poor, the hungry, and the underprivileged to provide them opportunities, training, whether in education or skills, so that they will have a level playing field among fellow Malaysians. We have started and selected a few Orang Asli kampongs or villages in the heart of the peninsula, whereby we go into these poor kampongs, we help them to build infrastructure like church building or halls, provide skill training. We teach their children English. The key to get them out of poverty and out of the vicious cycle in these villages is through education. We train them to be teachers and they can teach their own fellow men. And this is what we are doing now. Training the teachers, they will go into the interiors to teach their own people. We identify that there are a big group of youth who are doing nothing in the villages. So we started to teach them music. They were so good, they were able to perform. It has proven the point that given a chance, they will be on par with fellow Malaysians. It must be a ministry where you see one generation to the other generation until they're able to stand on their feet. It is much more than teaching how to fish. It is ability to teach them to fish and then provide them a fishing rod and tell them where to fish.
Before beginning training anywhere they go, these counselors try to identify someone in the target group who can be mentored and have a willingness to carry on the work after the training has ended. In this, the Global Mosaic Ministry is self-sustaining, truly equipping leaders for the future.
We taught in India, so When we were in India, when we arrived at that place, it was really exciting, and I was very surprised because suddenly it just dawned on me that we are in a different culture and we need to be very culturally sensitive. Even in our dressing, we had to adapt. We had to wear the Indian costume.
When I was doing the teaching session on family, it turned out that most of the participants were women. And so I have got to adapt myself again to try to speak to the women and to address their needs as I perceived it.
What Fan taught was mainly, from the man's point. So I thought that it would be good if the wife comes in and share a little bit. And I thought that was good for both of us as well as for the participants. What impressed me really was the hunger the people had for such trainings, because there are not many organizations providing such trainings on leadership, and GMI has really given these remote places, small churches, the opportunity to have a top-notch training on leadership. And in this particular case, we taught on the communication skills of listening and asking questions.
And for me, it is also an eye-opening experience to do something in a different culture altogether, and as well as to learn how to adapt ourselves so that we can be relevant to them.
After that, I enrolled myself as a student to do my master's in pastoral counseling. And it has really given me the encouragement, the bonus, to do family courses throughout the country.
And we have just stepped out to start our own organization called Family First. And we are doing the same thing, going to the community instead of the churches, going to the marketplace to conduct these courses. And hopefully in the near future, we will come in with something of our own originality to be able to meet the needs of our changing society.
Training content and delivery is tailored to the countries and cultures in which it is given. Perceptions and interpretations can vary depending on many factors. For example, participants can be river people or farmers or tribes living in a jungle. Each has its own culture. Venues are chosen to fit the culture, whether that means having sessions in a university, a home by abandoned railroad tracks, or even just under a tree. Through workshops, stories, fun and games, and simple tools like puppets or beanie babies, people are encouraged to share their struggles and discover solutions. Empowering people to regain self-esteem, to resolve issues and conflicts, to handle crises, and to find purpose in life is the central focus for all trainings. Team members spend considerable time and effort focusing on communicating these principles effectively. Recognizing that children in shelter homes often grow up without any example of what it's like to be within a family system, I started a program called Vital Foundations for Girls. For one event in the VFG program, GMI collected moms and daughters from outside of Malaysia and brought in some graduate students to spend a week with girls from shelter homes. The hope was that at the end of the week, each girl would realize how special she is, what family is all about, and what it's like to have that kind of attachment and bonding. Barely a month after this project's completion, people were planning to replicate it in Singapore, the Philippines, and several cities in the United States. One project spearheaded by GMI was a counseling center. It was built for two reasons. The first purpose was to counsel students. The second purpose was to provide a safe environment for students to receive direct training, to be supervised, and to observe and learn from their peers. The center was designed with 3 rooms containing furniture suitable for counseling. The rooms also contained resources that a counselor might need in a counseling session, such as toys for children. These rooms were designed in such a way that clients could attend counseling sessions discreetly. The center also contains an observation room with monitors that link to cameras in the counseling rooms. This allows an observer or supervisor to watch what's going on in the rooms without disturbing the counseling session. Many individuals from the East and the West contributed funds and time in a combined effort to put this suite together. All recognize the value that this center can give the people in Malaysia. There are many ways you can help GMI meet the needs of future leaders around the world. Compassionate friends like you embody the founding spirit of Global Mosaic. Love for God, a desire to make Him known to the nations, a hunger for the truth, and generous hearts willing to offer hope and assistance to those in dire need. Come join us on a mission trip, or get involved right where you are. When people in need are served with a heart of joy and love, they're not concerned with how many degrees or how many certifications you have. They only care that you are there for them. So come as you are and share your own life stories. Consider joining us in one of our areas of need. These even include positions such as an administrator in our office, translator for many of the materials that we write, proofreader or even test reader, an editor, counselor, helping us with instructional designing, being an educator, or a short-term member with anything you can do. You can also help us by contributing such things as teaching materials used for counseling or working with children, iPods, iPads, MP3 players, or photos that might be used as leadership training or counseling training materials. We are always looking for resources to enhance our training.
The impact and the influence has been multiplied. I think that is done through the, number one, the people she has trained, number two, through the many resources that she has brought in.
Being on the mission field can be very rewarding, and it can also be a challenging sacrifice of love. So please, remember to support Dr. Biles and team members through prayer and also through encouragement via emails, letters, or other means as you see fit.
The counselors and leaders of Global Mosaic have encountered many people who are oppressed by life and have lost all self-worth, value, and hope. The training they receive from Global Mosaic not only gives them life skills in leadership and communication, it also gives them hope for a brighter future and a new outlook on life. You see, it gives them skills to bring hope to others in their communities. Many have told me that their lives are changed forever. So come join us in their transformation.
Let us join our hands together and partner with GMI and see the kingdom of God built up in the nations, making God's heart a reality in this earth. God bless you.